shirt so I could stand here and talk to the tea. And that. It was cool.
Hi there, Leroy.
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing just fine. Yourself?
Oh, pretty good so far.
Mike?
You get your vaccination?
I got my vaccination on Friday, the day after our last meeting. And it was pretty slick.
Did they ask for ID or anything?
All we had to do was turn in the form we had made out ahead of time. Actually, now that I think about it, they did. They asked for driver's license, Medicare card, and there was a third item. Let me think. Oh, they asked for your insurance card. In my case, it was a Kaiser card, and it they didn't blink when they saw the California driver's license, so I didn't blink either. Okay, it's like playing poker, Oh, that's my California driver's license. Gee, I must have left my Ohio ones in my other pants.
Let's see, who am I today?
Yeah, but no, we had the form filled out, and it asked all the questions about pre-existing conditions and age and blah 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 blah, birth date. But then they ask for the Medicare card, the insurance card, and the driver's license. And I think the driver's license is primarily because it's the only the only one of those three is actually a photo ID. Um, but they didn't raise any question about the fact that it was a California driver's license, you know, and so it went very smoothly. I have to say, I had the person who did the inoculation injection was a Farm D intern. This is somebody who is in the third year of their PhD in pharmacy. So, at any rate, and she did a slick job. I tell you, I had to. The only way I know for sure that I got a shot was when I pulled the Band-Aid off later in the day. There was a little blood spot on the back of it. I mean, she was slick. She gave a little pinch on the upper arm there and stuck the needle in. It is quite long, by the way.
Yeah.
It looks a lot more ominous than it is, but it was completely painless. I had a little bit of an ache in the arm for the next 2 or 3 days, but that I would only feel that. Interestingly enough, normally if I was just sitting with my arms down like this, wouldn't feel it. But if I went to lift up something off a high shelf where it would, I guess it stretches that muscle or whatever, I feel a little bit of achiness. But that was it so far. So we're signed up for another one on the 26th of March. We did have to drive to Xenia for it because it was the only place that I could find that had the vaccine in stock, and it was Moderna, by the way.
Well, on my cards around here someplace, and I don't know which one I got.
Mine's
I might go back and get another one.
mine is Mine is in a file folder that Barbara keeps. You give me a piece of paper, it immediately disappears into the ether someplace or another. So she keeps all the paper. Okay. But I got to tell you, it was really slick. And we got a reference from my son-in-law's sister, who's a dental hygienist. She said Rite Aid right now has vaccine in stock. And there are a number of Rite Aids in the, I guess you would call it the greater Dayton area. So I went to the Rite Aid website, found a list of places that was taking appointments, went down, bang, 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 bang. The first 4, there were no appointments available. And the 5th one, sure enough, Xenia had them available. I signed me up. I signed my wife up, and we showed up on the appointed date, and that was that. We signed up, I think, about 2-3 weeks in advance, something like that.
Wow, that's good.
But
Well,
go ahead.
well, I'm sorry. I apologize if I stepped on. Julie bought me a model, and an interesting model. It's laser cut, looks like 1/4-inch plywood, but the laser cutting is so fine. If I could share a screen with you just to show you what I've got here.
Should be able to.
Okay.
By the way, Jim's here too. Everybody say hi to Jim. Hi to Jim.
Hello.
And Vicente's also here.
And Vicente's here.
Hi, Jim.
Okay.
Vicente, you might get a shave or something. You're kind of shaggy. I'm talking about your other you, the brown you.
Okay, can you guys see that?
Nope. We don't see
Nope.
anything.
Talking about the vaccine, I will have the shot
How about now?
on Saturday.
Yep, we got a picture. What is this?
Wow.
Laser cut.
This is laser cut. But to give you some idea of how finely this is cut, okay. See where the red circle is?
Yeah.
Okay. May be able to see there's just a tip of a metal object.
You use a knife to remove this.
That is a 31 gauge needle from a syringe. And if you look at it, has jammed those parts over in order to squeeze it together over here so that it would fit. Now, that is a 0.012 inch diameter needle.
Wow.
Wow.
So what in the world kind of laser is going to be able to cut that fine a line?
Wow. It's very, very, very fine focus, to do that.
If it's focused well enough, you should be able to cut that line with a CO2 laser. As long as the material's not too thick.
But it's about a 1/4 inch thick. But
wow.
Let me switch back to that for just a second.
What's the other side look like?
You saw both sides. The one side. Okay. Are you seeing it now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Now.
This is the top side.
Okay. These numbers here, like this 102, that's not just on one side. That goes all the way through.
Wow.
So
yeah.
Here's the back side.
Yeah.
And there are the numbers on the side of it.
Looks like the lines are a little narrower on the backside than they are on the top
I
side.
that-
think
that's-
that's the way the photograph is taken because the sides are parallel. It cuts real rectangles.
Mhm.
Really?
These are the little tabs here that hold everything together. They're just,
What kind of laser is that?
say again?
What the power? What machine did that?
I don't know. Julie bought me this model kit, and so I couldn't tell you for sure. But
Um,
even the numbers on this identifies the panel, and that's a
Yeah.
5. We're looking at it upside down or backwards. Even those panel numbers are cut all the way through,
Okay, cool.
and it's an interactive type thing where not on this panel, but on some of the others, there's gears that are cut into these small faces, and the whole thing operates. Steers the tillers, closes the raises the sales, the whole business. But it, like I said, it's about a 1/4 inch thick material, and the parts snap together. There is no glue. So every tab has the outside with a little knob on it, and then inside there's a relief cut. So when it goes through the rectangle, it snaps through and pops back out.
Here, Ray's coming in. Maybe you could ask Ray. Hi, Kenny.
Hey,
Because I'm sure Ray will know. Ray should be here soon. It says he's joining. So
You
Anyway,
say that's a plywood, Mike?
yes, yeah, it's a very thin plywood. I think it's probably like 5 or 6 ply.
okay, Ray's in here. If you want to put that back up there again and ask Ray. He's
Well, I don't want to occupy too much time. Is it worth me putting it back up, asking?
I don't know. Ray's not paying any attention. He's talking to his wife.
Yeah, I'm bumping my head here. It doesn't seem to help.
I can see him over there. He's got his chair turned backwards. He's
Yeah,
The honey wagon must have arrived.
he's not paying any attention. So anybody else got anything cool?
I've got a question about RTL SDR.
Okay.
Does anybody have any experience with it?
Well,
What?
I have a few. I don't know how much experience I have, but I have some of the receivers.
Okay, well, I ran across this. I've been doing some work on decoding the Manchester encoded 433 megahertz pulse streams that come off of various devices. Like, for example, obviously they come off your car keys and so forth and so on, but also I've got rain gauges and temperature gauges and so forth and so on. They're used in a lot of situations where you want really long battery life and you don't need a lot of bandwidth. You're just transmitting, every minute or two, the equivalent of a few hundred bytes. The advantage of them is that you put a battery in them and the battery essentially lasts the shelf life of the battery. So the battery is, you don't have to worry about changing batteries every week or whatever. And on things like a rain gauge or a motion detector, which is mounted someplace inconvenient to get at, you don't want to change those batteries very often. So at any rate, I've been doing some reverse engineering on some of those devices, try to get it to decode the Manchester encoded stream coming off of it. And I've been using these little 433 megahertz receivers that you can buy for, you can buy a bag of them for about $10 or so. At any rate, what's going on there, Leroy?
Very loud airplane just flew overhead.
I was going to say, they're making a bombing run there.
Very loud.
At any rate, so I stumbled across this guy on YouTube who had a scheme for decoding for detecting and decoding these 433 megahertz, and he was using what he calls an RTL-SDR dongle. This is a dongle that plugs into your USB port. You download some software.
Mhm.
Basically, you run. I assume everybody knows what SDR radio is, software-defined radio. You can run this receiver, and it's pretty inexpensive. They range from maybe $10 to about $30, something like that.
Well,
So
they go way up into the $300 range.
well, yeah, I know you can get much more expensive, but the dongles that this guy was using was actually, it was a $10 one, but he was in Switzerland, so who knows what that really translates to. So, at any rate, I wondered if anybody had experience using these inexpensive dongles. Apparently, there's a bunch of free software that runs at least on Linux and on Raspbian that can run these things. Now, how did you run yours when you were using Leroy?
See, I have what is that? Cube SDR on this machine over here. A cubic SDR, which is what I use mostly, but there's 4 or 5 different programs for Linux that really it depends on which one works best with your your device. There is what is it called? Multi-mon NG, which takes a little setting up. I haven't quite gotten mine to work yet, but that's your decoder. So you've got to take your audio stream and feed it back in like through a loop, like through a monitor deal, so that multi-mon can actually decode the stream. And that was the part that I found to be the hardest part to set up. I still haven't gotten it to work quite right. Was not setting up multi-mon. The hard part was setting up the loop, the audio loop, so it goes back into the machine.
Okay, well, I will share in
See, a lot of the documentation for these things is out of date. It's like really out of date because the stuff changes like constantly. They're constantly updating the SDR software. They're constantly updating the multi-mon program. So you'll find that like the documentation is lagging behind the actual software.
Yeah, it's coffee, man.
Coffee.
To the dog.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem of it, is getting it all set up. Once it's set up, you don't ever have to touch it again. It just works.
Okay, well, I've put up 2 links here.
Yep.
One of them is to the to the guy in Switzerland who was hacking the 433
Yeah.
using one of these devices. And the
Um,
other one is just the RTL SDR site, which
Yeah.
lists a whole bunch of different hardware and software for this. And I thought,
Yeah, that's what I figured.
gee,
Thought.
I
Sorry.
that'd be kind of cool if you can do that for 20 or 30 bucks.
I put a link to SwitchDoc. They already decoded a lot of the weather stuff, and they're selling an entire package for a couple $100 with decoded. But it's open source, so you could go to their GitHub repository and see if it's the same. They say a lot of the 433 stuff is using the same kind of encoding.
But that uses an RTL SDR
Mhm.
dongle.
Yep, they've already so SwitchDoc with their weather rack deal that they've got that they're selling, they've already decoded stuff, and of course they guarantee that it works with the stuff that they already know. But you read through there a little bit and you'll realize that there's a lot of it that's the same. It's
Yeah.
So they may have already done the hard part. I mean,
hmm
so their GitHub repository may be a source of info for you,
Okay.
because most of those at least in the realm of under $50 SDRs, they're pretty much all the same.
Uh-huh.
There are some SDRs that use a slightly different chipset. So you want to stick with, what is that? The 82 something chipset. Those work best.
Uh-huh.
And you want to stick with some of them have a better parts per million deal, or so you want to find one that's, I think it's like 0.5 parts per million or point. I forget. The older ones were worse. The newer ones, the one that's on the RTL SDR website that you just posted
Yeah.
in the silver case,
Yeah.
that's probably one of the best ones that's cheap.
Okay. Well, I will
Stop buffering issues anywhere, anytime.
And I figured when you said that it was the Swiss guy, I figured it was Andre Spears or
it
Spires.
is Andre Spears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He
Yeah,
he is the Swiss guy.
Well, he does a lot of videos, and I use him as a lecturer in some of my
He
Arduino and
yeah,
Raspberry
he
Pi,
does really well. He's got a
yeah,
lot of
he's
good stuff.
yeah, he's pretty knowledgeable.
Yeah.
And the thing I like about him is he actually does demos. He's not somebody who puts up a lot of theory and then you go to try to use it and you're just out of luck.
Yeah.
But
I have been able to follow along in some of his videos before. So he's probably a good, and I've even left messages for him on YouTube before, and he's pretty fast about getting back to you with if you've got questions or whatever.
okay.
So
Well, I will definitely
yeah.
pursue that then.
I figured when you said it was a Swiss guy that
Yeah.
there's only one, right?
Well, I assume there's more than one, but he's one of my favorite lecturers for use in class, and the students seem to like him. So
Yeah. He's knowledgeable and he's funny,
yeah.
and he tells a good tale. So
Yeah, the one that I was using for the 433 decoding process, he has a one of these automatic awnings that you can put out over a deck or a patio or whatever. And it had, as part of the original device, it had an anemometer, a wind speed detector. One of the problems you have with these awnings is that they're just a big sail. It's like canvas or something or another on a frame. And if any of you ever used some of these canvas topped frames that you use for picnics and various kinds of meetups and so forth and so on, you realize that if a gust of wind comes along, that sucker takes off. Okay. And so the same thing happens with these awnings. And so what happened was the anemometer on his uh, awning apparently died. And so, but it's all hooked together by MQTT. So he wanted some way to buy a little weather station, detect the wind speed, and then use that to control when the awning auto retracts. Because if you don't happen to be there at the right moment, it only takes one gust of wind. I can tell you from personal experience, it only takes one gust of wind, and that sucker has turned into whatever it turns out to be, $5,000 worth of trash or whatever. So he goes through the whole process where he does both the transmitter side and the receiver side. He decodes the anemometer, outputs an MQTT signal, sends that to a transmitter, which outputs a 433, which retracts the awning. So it's worth the watch. It was one of those two that I put up there. Well, the www.rtl-sdr is just a site for the RTL SDR, but the one before that's the YouTube goes through his whole Spears whole project. So at any rate, so
I put a
I'm going to
link.
go invest in one of these dongles and see how much trouble I can get into here.
I put two links to two different SDRs from Amazon. The first one is, I own that one, and it's a pretty good one. The other one, I don't know, but it goes into HF. It goes down pretty low into the band. So
Okay, I see one link.
Yeah, there's two links. There should be two links there.
I'm looking for the second HTTP. Oh, there it is. Okay, so the first one is the one you own?
I own that one, and it doesn't go that far into the HF band.
Yeah.
The second one is supposed to go like all of HF, but I guess it depends on what you want to do. You're not really wanting to listen to HF stuff, so.
No, I'm just for my project. I just want to listen to the 433.
Yeah. Well, like
I think it's actually 433.52 or 92 or something like that. It's not precisely 433.
Yeah. Any of them should be able to go to get that. I mean, that's an easy band to get.
Yep.
Some of the HF stuff gets a little harder. I do have one that will get the AM broadcast band, which is cool. So,
I guess I didn't realize AM was even still around.
I listen to the AM broadcast all the time.
Well, Art, you were talking about personal experience of a gust of wind coming up. And a little over 50 years ago, my brother-in-law and I built a hang glider. And we were out on a fairly steep slope off of a parking lot. And we had gone down a number of times to the bottom. My nephew, who was 14 or 15 at the time, quite a bit lighter than myself or my brother-in-law, got hooked into the harness, and he's at the top of the hill, and a big gust of wind comes along and picks the hang glider and him up and throws him down the parking lot and pins the hang glider against a light pole. And so everybody runs over there and they're trying to hold on to the hang glider to keep it from being mangled. And my nephew's way the hell up in the air, just kind of dangling hopelessly. And my brother-in-law was afraid that the hang glider was going to collapse and hit his car. So we're all holding on to the hang glider. My nephew's flailing. He goes and starts his car and moves his car. But
So what about the nephew? How did he fare in the whole thing?
we eventually got the hang glider down and got it on the ground, so the wind was pushing it down onto the A-frame, and he uncoupled himself and got out of there. He did not suffer any big bruise or anything like that. But we were all expecting that my brother-in-law would help with his son getting out of this situation. No, he was more concerned about his new Mercedes. He didn't want it screwed up.
Okay.
But-
Well, he probably spent more on the new Mercedes than he did on his son.
Yeah, no doubt. But the amount of energy that's involved in even a fairly light breeze is incredible.
Oh yeah. Yeah, my daughter and son-in-law bought me one of these 4 posts with the top canvas, but it's not a complete tent. It only comes down about 7 or 8 inches around the top of the frame, and then you
Yeah,
can
like a
sit
pop-up
underneath
shelter.
it. Yeah, it's like a pop-up shelter. So I put that thing in the backyard thinking, hey, that'd be a great place to sit in the backyard. This is in California. And so I put it on the patio in the backyard. I don't know, went into the house to get I'll use the term beverage or whatever. Come back out. The thing's hanging against the fence on the side of the yard. So I said, okay, well, so I had some concrete blocks in my garage. So I took them out and used 4 of them to hold the thing down. Well, that works just fine up until you get enough lift under that tent to yank the posts loose from the concrete block. Well, I've still got the thing in my garage, but the frame's all bent beyond recognition at this point in time. Because it was a gift from my daughter and son-in-law, I've never mentioned it again, and I'm hesitant to throw it out because one of these days they're going to say, "Hey, Dad, where's that tent or where's that thing we got you?"
The same nephew that was dangling upside down from the hang glider has a term for pop-up shelters that look like that. He says that they have been folded up by a gorilla.
That software-defined radio would be a good topic for the Wix, conversation
Yeah.
area.
Yeah, I'll dig up my little box of STRs and I'll put which ones I've got and which ones I like. I think I've got 4 of them, and 2 of them I don't like, and 2 of them I do like.
Oh, so we can have a personal recommendation. here.
Yeah, will be nice.
Yeah. Well,
Well-
I'll tell you why. One of them, you've got clones of clones of clones, and one of them I bought I thought was the real deal because the listing looked really, really good, and it turns out it was a clone, and it was not a clone, a good clone. It was a clone of a clone of a clone. So
Down to almost 4 minutes now.
yeah, my stuff from M5 came in this week, so when we start the meeting again, I can show that stuff off.
More stuff.
More stuff.
Wow.
I've got
They
and
are
I've got
releasing
more
a
stuff.
lot of products, right? They
Do
are
what?
releasing continuously products.
Every week
Wow.
every week it seems like they've got something new.
They are like Lego, but electronics.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
That was fun.
hi Ray.
You wake up.
We can't hear Ray.
Oh, I'm not yelling. I'm not talking.
Oh, that's what's going on.
Gotcha.
Got me.
Are you guys getting ready to move over to the other meeting?
Here in about 3 minutes or so.
Okay.
So Mike, you need to ask Ray what the deal is with that laser cut plywood.
Okay.
You got 3 minutes.
Bring you up to speed real quick, Ray. My wife bought me a snap together model kit, laser cut, and I'm going to go ahead and throw up an image here. And what I'm interested in is what kind of laser would be capable of cutting this final line. Okay, can you see that?
Got
Yeah.
it.
Okay, you see that red circle, Ray? Are you there?
Did we lose Ray?
You're still here.
I don't, okay. I don't see him.
I don't.
Oh, he dropped off the list. Maybe he already headed to the other session.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to beat this thing to death.
He saw
Cool.
the competition.
he
and
ran off.
away. Ran away. Oh my God.
Now he's gone.
He sure is.
That's just wild. We mentioned lasers and he disappears. That's
Saw an opportunity to make a sale and headed out.
yeah. This some of this new M5 stuff that I got. We were talking about the 3D printers that what are those? The liquid,
Resin.
the resin 3D printers. Some of the cases that they're doing now are resin cases. Yeah. It's interesting. You can tell that it's been 3D printed, but they've coated it with something. So I guess so it doesn't come apart so easily or whatever. But okay, we're down to like 35 seconds or so.
Hey, if I only have 35 seconds left, we'll go to the next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Something happened and it just crashed. I couldn't get into the software.
Of course.
Likely story.
Yeah. We
I just got back into it. Look at her in the background. Damn it. I can't get anybody on my side.
I asked a question, and as soon as I asked the question of you, you're gone.
Specific question for Ray. All right. I'll see